if not shocked, then at least a little surprised. Hi everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm the CowHatLibrarian, and this was a fun one. Now, I heard that Mélanie Watt was going to be publishing a new book, and I was excited, and I placed a hold on it a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that. And it showed up yesterday. And so I borrowed it from my library, brought it home, and told my kids, guess what? We have a new Mélanie Watt book to read. And they got super excited for new Scaredy Squirrel. And I had to disappoint them and say, no, it's not Scaredy Squirrel, and hear the stereo "oh" from both of them. So I had to remind my kids that Mélanie Watt, in fact, writes other good books and good standalone books too, like You're Finally Here and Have I Got a Book for You? And this book sort of falls in that vein, and it is 10 shocking facts about capybaras. Now, I don't know where the whole capybara thing came from, but the last few years, capybara and axolotls have been absolutely everywhere, and they've really become a big thing. So Mélanie Watt's jumping on board, and the end result is this book. As the story starts, the narrator starts reciting facts about the capybara, and the example capybara provides commentary. Fact 1, capybara are the biggest rodents in the world. We're huge. Fact 2, capybaras have teeth that never stop growing. We're sharp, chewing all day files down our teeth. And at first the book continues like this. Through the first 7 or 8 facts, things are very, very boring, and it comes across as a whimsically illustrated, could be shelved in nonfiction book. I noticed that both my attention and my kids' attention was flagging by about the 5th or 6th fact. And I started wondering, did Mélanie Watt really just write an information book about capybara? Is this sort of like those Elise Gravel books about different things that are paired with her charming illustrations? But then, the capybara gets kind of weird about things and tries to distract the reader, because the 9th fact has to do with them eating tough aquatic plants and grass. And a capybara tries to distract them with how cute capybara are, and that's enough of everything. And this is where the book goes off the rails and starts becoming really fun, because the narrator tries to press on with this final 10th fact, and the capybara does everything it can to prevent that fact from being known. And overriding the last word of the fact that they need to eat their own pizza. And then it segues into competing facts. Fact 11, capybaras do not eat pizza. Fact 12, capybaras order pizza every day. And that fact 13, capybaras cannot order pizza. Fact 14, capybaras use phones to order pizza. And things escalate with a monkey. And things continue until finally the monkey looks up that final fact in a book and reveals the secret the capybara's been trying to keep quiet, that they eat their own poop to help them digest food. And that's the end of the story. So it's a mixed bag, because as I said, that first part, it's possible to lose a reader's attention. I was starting to flag, my kids who are 8 and 10 now were starting to flag, and we were wondering when it was going to get to the good stuff that Mélanie Watt is rightfully known for. But the minute the capybara broke in and started breaking that 4th wall and trying to waylay the narrator and talking about eating pizza and how it orders pizza on the phone, and it has a monkey friend who can use the phone for it, and all those things we picked right up, and we loved it, and it was hilarious. And the fact that this seemingly innocuous fact about capybaras became this huge shameful thing and was enough to propel a whole story, that was great stuff all around. Now, Watt's illustration style for this was actually kind of a departure from Scaredy Squirrel, and it was a nice effect. Sort of crayon-y like drawings of the capybara with, again, seemingly like pencil crayon-y shading. Those things are complemented by patterns in the background, like a basket weave pattern on the green background behind the capybara, and horizontal line pattern for sort of waves in the pond here. And it's an effective cartoony art style. It reminds me a little bit of how animals would look drawn in a Family Guy sort of style, and I think it's effective. The portion in the story where the narrator and the capybara go back and forth with alternating facts and escalation about pizza and phones and not being able to use phones and getting a monkey to use the phone and so on, the escalation is hilarious. More than anything, it reminds me of some classic Pearls Before Swine comic strips where Rat is talking about going out into nature and his friend is wondering how Rat can survive out there. And Rat just says, well, I'll have pizza when I'm out there. And his friend sort of says, well, wait a minute, you can't make pizza while you're out there. And Rat says, I can if I order it on my iPhone. And it sort of ramps up the ridiculousness. And it has the same energy here. I love Stephen Pastis. I love Pearls Before Swine. And so I loved the escalation here as well. So you have Mélanie Watt. You have some interesting facts about capybaras. You have a fourth wall breaking story where the narrator fights with the subject of the story and escalating antics. There's a lot to like here. But there's also the deal breaker. Now, there are two small deal breakers, and they're minor given the context of what this book is. Like I said, the first part of the book, it may lose readers' attention if they're not fully engaged with your story time. I would strongly suggest that if you're using this as part of a story time, don't use it as your first book. In fact, I would be tempted to leave it for the end of story time, because then the kids have settled, they're into whatever you're reading, and then you end on the poop joke instead of trying to get them back on board after the poop joke comes in. So I think that it would be most effective as a storytime capper rather than an intro or a midway book. Second, if you're recommending this to families, just gauge their tolerance for potty humor, of course. I have met a few families through the years that I've worked in libraries that would not find this appropriate for their kids, and so maybe test the waters if you're thinking about recommending this. And certainly if they're into other books that have similar humor, go for it. I think there's a lot to like here. I recommend it. Go borrow it from your public library. While I'm on that topic, if you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library, why not take just 1 minute and tell the powers that be exactly that? Tell your mayor, tell a council member, tell your MP or MLA that you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library. We're at a time where some public libraries are having trouble finding sustainable funding to continue improving the materials, programs, and services they offer, and a few good words in the writers might make a world of difference. Now, if by some chance you're a library staff member, don't forget, watching my videos counts as professional development time. With that, thanks for listening to me talk about how this book is not a pile of poo. By all means, please like, please subscribe, and please check back and see what else I have to talk about from the CowHat Library. Thank you. Bye now.